Welcome to the Daily for April 20th. Simon, today on the East Coast, everyone's taking a 2-hour lunch at 2:30.
Inter Barcelona, we've been waiting for it a while, but the story has been this bus ride, the famous bus ride that Barcelona had to take. You know, in the end of the day, it's not going to impact what happens on the field. I mean, they had 2 days in a luxury bus. They've been there since last night. They'll be fine.
This isn't your yellow school bus that you took to school when you were 9 years old. This is a luxury bus with leather seats, huh?
Right. And, you know, the distance was 600 miles. We've all done maybe a 600-mile trip at some point or another. It wasn't that bad.
So what are you expecting to see out on the field then?
We remember from the group game that they had at the San Siro, Inter basically knows how to close down Barcelona.
Right.
They don't want to give up the away goal, so I think it's going to be a defensive struggle. I would not look for a spectacular match tonight.
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing a 0-0 game, potentially 1-1 if someone breaks through. I think if it's 1-1, Barcelona kind of wins, and if it's 0-0, Inter did what they wanted to do. So maybe they try to scrape out a goal in Barcelona with another draw, something like that.
Yeah, I think Inter's primary focus, defend. Make sure Barcelona doesn't get on the board. But I think Inter they want that goal. They don't want to have to go to Barcelona and needing to score.
Right. Or needing to hold Lionel Messi off the scoreboard for 120 minutes, which would be tough if they had a draw and went into overtime.
Right.
Next thing we have to talk about, Simon, staying in Europe, but maybe not for long. Alessandro Del Piero, rumors of him coming to New York Red Bulls seem to be ramping up. We've heard a lot coming out yesterday, especially with the Juventus friendly that the Red Bulls announced. So what's your take on that?
The Red Bulls announced the friendly on the same day that there was a full-page spread in Gazzetta dello Sport, one of the major sports dailies in Italy, saying Del Piero has been offered a contract terms by an MLS club. We hope to speak to the reporter who wrote that story later today, so check in with the site. But the question becomes, is Del Piero the right fit for the Red Bulls, the right fit for the New York market?
Certainly interesting, and it's almost like, is it a soccer question or is it a marketing question? Because marketing-wise, he's probably not a bad choice. I'm not a big fan of the, bring in a player to bring fans in. If I say bring in a player to win games, and bring in fans, kind of like it happened in Houston, where they didn't have any star Mexican players, but they have a great fan base now because they went there and they succeeded on the field.
Everyone is going to make the argument that New York has to be treated differently there. But Del Piero's star has faded a little bit. He's not the player that he once was, and I don't know that the impact will be as great as would be hoped for. I would almost say Del Piero could be the Jaime Moreno of the Red Bulls if they do in fact sign him. He's not as fast as he used to be, and I think they need a more dynamic player to suit what they're trying to do.
Well, it'd be interesting to see how that works out. Speaking of bringing in players, FC Dallas has brought in a new technical director who, I guess theoretically, most technical directors in MLS are guys who go out, find players, sign players, scout players, stuff like that. We don't know that that's going to be his specific job, but Barry Gorman, former Penn State head soccer coach, coming into FC Dallas to fill that role.
Yeah, Barry Gorman. It's going to create a lot of discussion because whether his role is going to be international players, the international player pool, or even the youth player pool, after spending 22 years at Penn State, the questions.
Be careful what you say about Penn State, Simon.
The questions will be there as to whether he can do this job competently, given where he's been before and his experience. Sure, he's had experience, before taking on Penn State, but he has a lot to prove.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. It's not like he was, created a soccer factory at Penn State and had all these great recruits coming in and turning them out as professional players. There's been few professional players coming out of Penn State, and even fewer that actually made something after they, came into the league. So if it comes down to what are his scouting abilities internationally, Penn State doesn't have a great record of bringing in international players either. So, what's on his resume that made FC Dallas say, this is our guy?
We'll wait to see what the report comes out of Dallas. And the other question is, when you have a college coach, an established one like Hyndman was, wouldn't you want someone a little bit different, way of thinking in the technical director position? Maybe a different set of talents. I think Hyndman and Gorman might be the same person almost.
It's interesting that we definitely had heard these conversations when Hyndman was hired as coach, and people said, he's a college guy. Can he cut it in MLS? Right. Can he cut it in MLS? But he seems to have turned FC Dallas around a little bit. Second half of the season last year was much better. So maybe maybe they have something. Maybe they know what works, and he just brought in a guy to complement what he's doing.
We'll hear what their plan is, and then we got to wait to see what he does.
On the Daily, we have an email address, thedaily@mlssoccer.com. We encourage you guys to send in your thoughts and questions. I wanted to read one before we left today because this was interesting. I thought it was funny from yesterday, and it's Curtis from up in Toronto saying about De Guzman jumping out of the wall. De Guzman has to stay in that wall. It doesn't matter if you aren't supposed to be in that wall. Every kid from age 12 knows how to get hit by the ball. That was embarrassing. So interesting take from a Toronto fan up there. I guess nobody's really happy with what's going on.
Toronto is desperate for people not to be analyzing their walls anymore. They need wins.
Yeah, that's all we have for the Daily today. Check back tomorrow for more.